You know that moment when your whole life changes because a kid mistakes you for their dad? Yeah, this Korean business mogul had no idea what was about to hit him. He walked past literally 100 stunning models without blinking, but then a 5-year-old with the brightest smile called him daddy and, well, let's just say his carefully controlled world exploded in the best way possible. Stay with me on this one because what unfolds is honestly the kind of story that makes you believe in timing and fate and all that good stuff. Fair warning though, this gets pretty emotional, so maybe grab some tissues or whatever helps when stories hit a little too close to home. The convention hall glittered under 1,000 lights as Taeyong walked past the line of women, each one more stunning than the last. His gray suit fit perfectly, his dark hair swept back, his expression carved from stone. Models from every corner of the globe stood there, hoping for a glance, a word, anything from the man who controlled half of Busan's business empire. He didn't look at any of them. His assistant Soo-hwan trailed behind, clipboard in hand, muttering something about schedules and meetings. The charity gala his mother had forced him to attend was supposed to help him find a suitable match, she'd said. Someone elegant. Someone who understood their world. Taeyong hated every second of it. Mr. Choi, one model called out, her voice like honey. He walked past. Another stepped forward, her hand reaching out. He sidestepped without breaking stride. This is ridiculous, Taeyong muttered to Soo-hwan. Tell my mother I tried. We're leaving. That's when he heard it. Daddy. The word cut through the noise like a blade. Taeyong froze mid-step, his entire body going rigid. He turned slowly, searching for the source. A little girl with wild curls and the brightest smile he'd ever seen came running toward him, her yellow dress bouncing with each step. She couldn't have been more than 5 years old. Behind her, a woman rushed forward, panic written all over her face. Arya, no. The woman gasped, reaching for the child. But Arya was faster. She crashed into Taeyong's legs, hugging them tight, giggling like this was the best game in the world. Taeyong stood completely still, staring down at the child wrapped around his knees. The entire hall went silent. 100 models watched. 50 businessmen stared. Soo-hwan's mouth fell open. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. The woman finally reached them, her Nigerian accent thick with embarrassment. She tried to pull her daughter away, but Arya held on tighter. He looks like the daddy in my picture book, Arya announced proudly, looking up at Taeyong with eyes that sparkled. Are you a prince? Something cracked in Taeyong's chest, right where his heart should have been. He'd spent 10 years building walls, making sure nothing and no one could touch him. This child just shattered them in 5 seconds. Arya, please. The woman tugged gently, her dark skin flushed with mortification. She wouldn't look at Taeyong directly. I'm very sorry, sir. She doesn't understand. Taeyong finally moved. He crouched down, bringing himself to Arya's eye level. The little girl beamed at him. What's your name? He asked, his voice softer than it had been in years. Arya Adebayo, she said, then pointed at her mother. That's my mummy. She makes the best jollof rice in the whole world. For the first time in a decade, Taeyong smiled. Actually smiled. Is that right? Aha. And she tells the best stories. And she can sing. And she's not married. Arya said that last part with such importance that her mother made a strangled sound. Arya. Taeyong looked up at the woman properly then. She was beautiful, but not in the polished way of the models still standing in their line. Her beauty was real, warm, alive. She wore a simple blue dress that probably cost nothing, her natural hair pulled back in a bun that was coming loose. She had a stain on her sleeve, probably from whatever she'd fed Arya earlier. She was the most genuine person he'd seen all night. I'm Taeyong, he said, still crouched by Arya. Then he looked at the mother. And you are? Leaving, she said quickly, finally succeeding in pulling Arya back. We're leaving. I'm very sorry for disturbing your event. She turned to go, grabbing Arya's hand, but Taeyong stood quickly. Wait. The woman stopped but didn't turn around. Her shoulders were tense. What's your name? Taeyong asked again. She hesitated, then looked back over her shoulder. Queenie. My name is Queenie. Queenie, he repeated, and something about the way he said it made her eyes widen. Don't go. We shouldn't be here, Queenie said, shaking her head. This is clearly some kind of important gathering. We only came because I work in the kitchen and Arya wanted to see the pretty dresses. I should have known better. You work here? In the kitchen? Yes, sir. I'm one of the catering staff. I didn't mean to. Have dinner with me. The words came out before Taeyong could think them through. The entire hall erupted in whispers. Queenie's eyes went huge. Excuse me? Tomorrow night. Have dinner with me. Taeyong didn't know what he was doing. He never did things like this. He was methodical, controlled, calculated. But something about this woman and her child made him want to throw all his rules away. I don't think. Please, he added, and the word felt foreign on his tongue. He didn't say please. Ever. You and Arya both. Queenie stared at him like he'd grown a second head. Are you serious right now? Taeyong pulled out his phone, opened a new contact, and held it out to her. Your number. She didn't move for a long moment. Then, slowly, like she couldn't quite believe what she was doing, she took the phone and typed in her number with shaking hands. This is crazy, she whispered, handing it back. Probably, Taeyong agreed, saving the contact. I'll text you the details. Queenie grabbed Arya's hand again and practically ran for the exit, her daughter waving goodbye enthusiastically over her shoulder. Taeyong watched them go until they disappeared through the doors. When he turned back, every eye in the room was on him. The models looked stunned. The businessmen looked confused. Suhwan looked like he might pass out. Sir, Suhwan said carefully, what just happened? Taeyong straightened his jacket, his expression sliding back into its usual mask. I found what I was looking for. But that woman, she's not from our world. She's not connected to any families. She's just a... Don't. Taeyong's voice dropped to something dangerous. Don't finish that sentence. Suhwan snapped his mouth shut. Cancel tomorrow's meetings, Taeyong said, walking toward the exit. All of them. Sir, you have a meeting with the John family about the shipping contracts. I said cancel them. Taeyong left the gala without another word, ignoring the chaos he'd created. In his car, he pulled out his phone and looked at the new contact. Queenie. He didn't know her last name. Didn't know anything about her except that she made jollof rice and had a daughter who called strangers daddy. And somehow that was enough. His phone buzzed. A text from his mother. What did you just do? Everyone is talking about you choosing a kitchen worker over the daughter of the Kim family. Explain yourself. Now. Taeyong deleted the message without responding. He had more important things to think about, like what kind of restaurant would make a 5-year-old happy, and why, for the first time in 10 years, he actually wanted to see tomorrow. Queenie couldn't sleep. She lay in her tiny apartment, staring at the ceiling, replaying the entire disaster over and over in her head. Arya was curled up beside her, snoring softly, completely unaware that she'd just turned their lives upside down. He was nice, Mummy, Arya had said before falling asleep. The prince was nice. Nice. That man wasn't nice. Rich men like that weren't nice. They were dangerous, especially to women like Queenie who had nothing, who were nobody. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. 2:47 a.m. Who would? Tomorrow. 6 p.m. I'll send a car. Dress casual. Arya likes pizza, right? All kids like pizza. Queenie sat up so fast her head spun. It was him. It was actually him. She shouldn't go. This was insane. She should block the number and forget this ever happened. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. Then she thought about Arya's face when she'd hugged that man's legs. Her daughter had been so happy, so full of joy. When was the last time Arya had looked at a man like that? When was the last time Arya had a father figure at all? Never. The answer was never. Queenie typed back before she could change her mind. How did you know about pizza? The response came immediately. I guessed. Was I right? Despite everything, Queenie smiled. Yes. You were right. Good. See you tomorrow, Queenie. The way he used her name. even in text, made something flutter in her chest. She put the phone down and pressed her hands to her face. "What am I doing?" she whispered to the darkness. But she already knew. She was saying yes to something that could destroy her. Or maybe, just maybe, save her. The next day crawled by. Queenie worked her shift at the hotel, prepping vegetables and stirring soups, trying not to think about the evening. Her coworkers wouldn't stop talking about the gala. "Did you see what happened?" Rita whispered during lunch break. "The Choi heir, the one everyone's terrified of, he chose some random woman. Just walked past all those models like they were nothing." Queenie kept her head down, cutting carrots with more force than necessary. "I heard she was a single mother," another voice added. "Can you imagine? What would a man like that want with someone like that?" Queenie's knife slipped. She caught it before it fell, but her hands were shaking. "Maybe he saw something real," Queenie said quietly. Rita snorted.
Real?
"Men like Choi Taeyong don't do real. They do calculated. Everything's a game to them. That poor woman, whoever she is, she's probably going to get her heart broken." Queenie didn't respond. She finished her shift in silence, went home, and stood in front of her tiny closet with Arya. "Which dress, baby?" she asked, holding up her only two decent options. Arya pointed at the yellow one. "That one. It's sunny." Queenie laughed despite her nerves. "Sunny.
Okay.
Sunny it is." At exactly 5:45 p.m., a black car pulled up outside her building. Not just any car. The kind of car that cost more than everything Queenie owned combined. A driver in a suit got out and opened the back door without a word. Arya's eyes went wide. "Mummy, is this for us?" I think so, baby." They climbed in. The interior smelled new, clean, perfect. Arya bounced on the leather seats, giggling. Queenie felt completely out of place. The restaurant wasn't what she expected. No fancy high-rise establishment. No place with impossible-to-pronounce menu items. Instead, the car pulled up to a small family-owned pizza place with checkered tablecloths and string lights. Taeyong was waiting outside. He wore jeans. And a simple black shirt. His hair was less styled, falling slightly into his eyes. He looked younger. Less like a business mogul, and more like a regular person. "You came," he said when Queenie stepped out, and she heard real relief in his voice. "You wore jeans," she blurted out, then immediately wanted to kick herself. Taeyong looked down at himself, then smiled that rare smile. "You said casual." "Prince." Arya launched herself at him again, and this time he was ready. He caught her easily, lifting her up like it was the most natural thing in the world. "Hello, Arya. Ready for the best pizza of your life?" "Yes." Queenie watched them together, this impossible pairing, the child who had no fear and the man who supposedly inspired it in everyone, and felt something shift in her chest. Inside the restaurant, Taeyong had reserved a corner booth. Nothing fancy, nothing showy. Just a quiet table where they could eat without being stared at. Arya babbled about everything and nothing while they waited for the food, and Taeyong listened like every word mattered. "Your daughter is very talkative," he said to Queenie, his eyes warm. "I'm sorry. She doesn't have much of a filter. Don't apologize." Taeyong's voice was firm. "I like it. It's refreshing." The pizza arrived, and Arya dove in immediately. Queenie took a small bite, hyper-aware of Taeyong watching her. "So," he said, "tell me about yourself." "There's not much to tell," Queenie said, looking down at her plate. "I came here 3 years ago from Côte d'Ivoire. Got the job at the hotel. Trying to give Arya a better life." "And her father?" Queenie's jaw tightened. "Not in the picture. Never was." Taeyong nodded slowly. "That must be difficult." "We manage," Queenie said, then looked up at him. "Why are we here, Taeyong? Really? Men like you don't do this." "Men like me?" He leaned back, studying her. "What do you think men like me do?" "I don't know. Business deals. Important things. Not dinner with kitchen staff and their children." "Maybe I'm tired of business deals," Taeyong said quietly. "Maybe I wanted something real for once." There was that word again. Real. You don't know me, Queenie whispered. Then let me. His eyes held hers across the table. Let me know you. Mummy, can I have more cheese? Arya interrupted, sauce all over her face. The moment broke. Queenie laughed, reaching over to wipe her daughter's chin. Yes, baby. More cheese. Taeyong watched them with an expression Queenie couldn't quite read. Longing maybe. Or sadness. Or both. They spent 2 hours there. 2 hours of Arya's stories and Taeyong's quiet questions and Queenie slowly letting her guard down. When they finally left, Arya was falling asleep on Taeyong's shoulder. She likes you, Queenie said softly as they walked to the car. I like her too. Taeyong adjusted Arya carefully, making sure her head was comfortable. And her mother. Queenie's breath caught. Taeyong. I know this is fast, he said, cutting her off gently. I know this doesn't make sense. But I haven't felt this alive in years. You do that. You and Arya. You make me feel human again. What if I'm scared? Queenie admitted, her voice barely a whisper. Then be scared. But don't run. His eyes found hers in the dim parking lot light. Please don't run. Queenie didn't know what to say to that, so she said nothing. They drove back to her apartment in comfortable silence, Arya sleeping soundly between them. At her door, Taeyong carried Arya inside and laid her gently on the bed. He stood there for a moment, watching the little girl sleep, and Queenie saw something break and heal on his face at the same time. Thank you, Queenie said when they were back outside. For tonight. For being kind. Can I see you again? Taeyong asked immediately. Just think about it, he said, already backing away. No pressure. Just think about it. He was gone before she could respond, disappearing into the night like something from a dream. Queenie went back inside and looked at her sleeping daughter. At the yellow dress thrown over a chair. At her own reflection in the mirror, a woman who'd forgotten what it felt like to be seen. Her phone buzzed. I forgot to say goodnight. Good night, Queenie. Sleep well. She saved his number under a single name. Maybe. Because maybe, just maybe, this could be something real after all. 3 weeks passed like a fever dream. Taeyong showed up everywhere. At the park where Queenie took Arya on Sundays, at the market where she bought groceries, outside the hotel when her shift ended. Never pushy, never demanding. Just there, asking quietly if she wanted company. And every time Queenie said yes. You're playing a dangerous game, Rita warned her one afternoon in the kitchen. The older woman had figured it out after seeing Taeyong's car outside too many times. Men like him, they don't keep women like us. I know, Queenie said, chopping onions viciously. I know that. Then why? Because maybe I'm tired of being careful. Maybe I'm tired of just surviving. Queenie's voice cracked. Maybe I want to live a little before I forget how. Rita sighed and squeezed her shoulder. Just be careful, Queenie. Hearts like yours, they break too easily. But Queenie was already falling, and there was no careful way to do that. That evening, Taeyong took them to the beach. Not the touristy one, but a quiet stretch where the sand was gray and the water was calm. Arya ran ahead, chasing seagulls, her laughter carrying on the wind. She's growing on me, Taeyong admitted, watching the little girl. I never imagined I'd want this. Want what? Queenie asked, walking beside him. A family. The word came out rough like it hurt to say. I never thought I deserved one. Queenie stopped walking. Why would you think that? Taeyong was quiet for a long moment, his eyes on the horizon. When he finally spoke, his voice was different. Heavier. My father built an empire on fear. I inherited that empire. People look at me and see a monster. Maybe they're right. You're not a monster, Queenie said firmly. You don't know that. Yes, I do. She grabbed his arm, making him look at her. Monsters don't spend 2 hours helping a 5-year-old build sandcastles. Monsters don't ask about my day like it matters. Monsters don't look at me the way you do. And how do I look at you? His voice dropped low. Like I'm worth something, Queenie whispered. Like I'm not invisible. Something shifted in Taeyong's expression. He reached up slowly, giving her time to move away, and brushed a strand of hair from her face. "You're the least invisible person I've ever met," he said. "You're the only thing I see." Queenie's heart was pounding so hard she thought it might explode. They stood there, frozen in the moment, the world reduced to the space between them. "Mummy, look what I found." Arya came running back, holding a shell, and they broke apart quickly.
But something had changed.
Something had shifted. On the drive home, Queenie's phone rang. Her sister Peyton, calling from Abidjan. "I heard rumors," Peyton said, without preamble. "Are they true? Are you really seeing Choi Taeyong?" "How did you?" "It's all over the Korean African community forums."
Someone saw you at the beach.
"Queenie, please tell me you know what you're doing." Queenie glanced at Taeyong, who was driving with one hand, the other resting near hers on the seat. "I don't know what I'm doing." "Then stop. Before it's too late. Before you get hurt. Before Arya gets hurt." "I can't," Queenie admitted. "I can't stop." Peyton was silent for a moment, then sighed. "Then be careful, sister. Men with power, they always have secrets." She hung up, and Queenie stared at her phone, anxiety creeping up her spine. "Everything okay?" Taeyong asked. "Yeah," Queenie lied. "Everything's fine." But it wasn't fine, because the next day, everything fell apart. Queenie was at work when Soo-hwan appeared in the kitchen. The assistant looked uncomfortable, his eyes darting around nervously. "Miss Adebayo," he said formally. "May I speak with you privately?" Queenie's stomach dropped. "Is Taeyong okay?"
"He's fine."
"It's just there's something you need to know." They went to a small office off the main kitchen. Soo-hwan closed the door and pulled out a folder. "I debated showing you this," he said quietly. "But you deserve to know the truth before this goes any further." He opened the folder. Inside were photographs, documents, articles. "Choi Taeyong isn't just a businessman," Soo-hwan began. "His father was involved in, let's call them gray area activities. Taeyong took over 5 years ago, and he's been trying to legitimize the family business ever since. But there are people who don't want that. People who would use anything, anyone to get to him." Queenie stared at a photo of Taeyong in a courtroom, another of him at a funeral. His eyes in those photos were dead, empty. Nothing like the warm gaze she'd come to know. "Why are you telling me this?" she whispered. "Because there's a woman," Soo-hwan continued, pulling out another photo. "A beautiful Korean woman with cold eyes. Her name is Seo Yuna. She was engaged to Taeyong 2 years ago. The engagement was broken when he found out she was working with his enemies, gathering information to destroy him. She's still out there, and she's not happy about being cast aside." Queenie felt sick. "What does this have to do with me?" "Yuna knows about you. She knows about Arya. And she's planning something." Soo-hwan's face was grave. "I'm telling you this because Taeyong won't. He doesn't want to scare you away. But you need to understand the danger you're in just by being near him." "Did he send you here?" Queenie demanded.
"No."
"He'd kill me if he knew I was telling you this." Soo-hwan looked genuinely worried. "But I've watched Taeyong these past weeks, and I've never seen him like this. He's different with you.
Happy.
But that happiness could get you killed if you're not careful." Queenie stood up on shaky legs. "I need to think, Miss Adebayo." But she was already leaving, her mind spinning. She made it through the rest of her shift on autopilot, then picked up Arya from the neighbor's apartment where she stayed during work hours. At home, she stared at her phone. Taeyong had texted 3 times. "Dinner tomorrow?" Arya mentioned wanting to see the aquarium. "Thoughts? You're quiet today. Everything okay?" Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. She should end this. She should protect herself and her daughter. She should run before it was too late. But then she remembered his face when Arya had hugged him. The way he'd looked at the little girl like she was precious, like she mattered. The way he'd looked at Queenie, like she was the first real thing he'd seen in years. She typed, "We need to talk." His response was immediate. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. He made it in 15. When Queenie opened the door, Taeyong looked terrified. Actual fear in his eyes, and she realized this powerful man was scared of losing her. What happened? He asked immediately. What's wrong? Your assistant came to see me today, Queenie said, stepping aside to let him in. Suhwan. He told me things. About your past. About someone named Yuna. About the danger. Taeyong went completely still. He had no right. He had every right. Queenie's voice rose. I'm walking around with a target on my back and you didn't think I should know? I was protecting you. By lying to me? By keeping secrets. Queenie pressed her hands to her head. Taeyong, I have a daughter. I can't put her at risk for her. For what? Taeyong stepped closer. Say it, Queenie. For whatever this is between us, she finished, her voice breaking. I don't even know what this is. I'm falling in love with you, Taeyong said simply, and the words hit her like a physical force. That's what this is. I'm falling in love with you and Arya, and I know that's terrifying. I know I come with baggage and danger and a past that could destroy us. But I'm also doing everything in my power to build a life where that doesn't matter anymore. Queenie stared at him, tears streaming down her face. Love isn't enough when there are people who want to hurt you. Then let me protect you. Taeyong grabbed her hands. Let me keep you safe. Both of you. I have resources, security, people who... I don't want to be a prisoner, Queenie sobbed. I don't want Arya growing up afraid. She won't be. I swear to you, she won't be. Taeyong's voice was fierce. But I need you to trust me.
Can you do that?
Can you trust me? Queenie looked at this man who'd turned her world upside down in a matter of weeks. This man who'd been nothing but gentle with her daughter. This man who looked at her like she hung the moon. I'm scared, she admitted. Me too, Taeyong said. Every single day, I'm terrified I'll wake up and you'll be gone. That you'll realize I'm not worth the risk. But I'm here anyway because the alternative, a life without you and Arya, that's scarier than anything else. Queenie didn't know what to say, so she just fell into his arms and cried. And Taeyong held her, whispering promises into her hair, swearing he'd move heaven and earth to keep them safe. When Arya wandered out of her room, rubbing sleepy eyes, she found them like that, holding each other like they were the only solid things in a shaking world. Are you sad, Mummy? Arya asked, climbing into their embrace. A little, Queenie admitted. Don't be sad. The prince will protect us. Arya said it with such certainty that both adults laughed through their tears. Yes, Taeyong agreed, looking at Queenie with determination burning in his eyes. The prince will definitely protect you. But outside, in a black car parked across the street, Seo Yuna watched the apartment with hatred twisting her beautiful face. And she was already making plans. 2 months. That's how long they had before everything exploded. 2 months of Taeyong showing up at their apartment with groceries and stories. 2 months of Arya calling him Uncle Tae and pulling him into her games. 2 months of Queenie slowly believing this could be real. But reality has teeth, and it was about to bite. It started with small things. A car following Queenie home from work. Strange calls that disconnected when she answered. Someone going through her mailbox. I'm probably imagining it, Queenie told herself, but her hands shook when she locked the door at night. Taeyong noticed immediately. What's wrong? Nothing, but she couldn't lie to him anymore. I think someone's watching us. His expression went ice cold. Since when? A few days. Maybe a week. Queenie wrapped her arms around herself. Taeyong, what if Suhwan was right? What if being with you puts Arya in danger? I'll assign security. Immediately. Discreet ones you won't even notice. But I'll know they're there, Queenie said desperately. I'll know we need protection, and that's not the life I want for my daughter. Then what do you want me to do? Taeyong's voice was raw. Walk away? Disappear? Because I can't do that, Queenie. I physically cannot do that anymore. They were standing in her kitchen, the space too small for the size of their emotions. Arya was at school, giving them rare privacy, and Queenie felt everything cracking apart. Maybe we need space, she whispered. Maybe we need to step back and think. No. Taeyong's voice was flat. No, Queenie. I know what space means. It means you're scared and you're running, and I'm about to lose the only good thing that's happened to me in years. I'm trying to protect my daughter, and I'm trying to protect both of you. Taeyong shouted, then immediately looked horrified. He never raised his voice. Ever. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I shouldn't. The apartment door burst open. Soo-hwan stumbled in, his face white as paper. Sir, we have a problem. A big problem. Taeyong spun around. What happened? It's Yuna. She's gone public. There are photos of you and Miss Adebayo all over the news. She's claiming you abandoned her when she was pregnant with your child, and now you're with another woman. The floor dropped out from under Queenie's feet. What? It's a lie, Taeyong said immediately, turning to her. It's a complete lie, Queenie. Yuna was never pregnant. This is revenge. She's trying to destroy me by destroying us. Show me, Queenie demanded, grabbing Soo-hwan's phone. The headlines were brutal. Photos of her and Taeyong at the beach, at the park, outside her apartment. And next to them, photos of Yuna looking beautiful and devastated, with quotes about betrayal and abandonment. Choi Taeyong's secret family, he left me for a kitchen worker. From heiress to homewrecker. The woman who stole Korea's most eligible bachelor. Oh God, Queenie breathed. Oh God, Arya. If she sees this at school. I'll send someone to get her right now, Taeyong said, already pulling out his phone. No. Queenie pushed his hand down. No, you can't just send people. That'll make it worse. That'll make it look like. Like what? Taeyong's eyes were desperate. Like I'm some kind of mistress who needs hiding. Queenie felt hysteria bubbling up. Like I'm something shameful. You're not. But that's what everyone thinks. Queenie gestured at the phone. Look at those comments.
Look at what they're saying about me.
About Arya. They're calling my daughter names, Taeyong. They're saying horrible things about a child. Taeyong looked at the screen, and his face went murderous. I'll destroy every person who... You can't, Queenie said tiredly. That's not how this works. You can't just make this go away. Watch me. Taeyong was already moving, but Queenie caught his arm. Please. Just give me a moment to think. But there was no time to think. Because 10 minutes later, her phone rang. The school. Miss Adebayo, there are reporters at our gates asking about Arya. We've called security, but we think you should come get her. Some of the other parents are concerned. Queenie's blood went cold. I'm coming. Don't let anyone near her. She hung up and grabbed her keys with shaking hands. I need to get my daughter. I'm coming with you, Taeyong said.
No.
You'll make it worse. Queenie was crying now, angry tears streaming down her face. Don't you understand? Your presence makes everything worse. The words hung in the air like poison. Taeyong flinched like she'd slapped him. Queenie.
I'm sorry, she sobbed.
I'm sorry, but it's true. Ever since you walked into our lives, everything's been falling apart. And I need to protect her. That's all that matters. Protecting Arya. Let me help. You can't. Queenie screamed, and something broke in both of them. You can't help, Taeyong. This is your world, your problems, your enemies. And we're just collateral damage. She ran out before he could respond, leaving him standing in her apartment surrounded by the ruins of their almost relationship. Getting Arya from school was a nightmare. Reporters everywhere, cameras flashing, people shouting questions. Queenie kept her head down and her daughter close, practically running to her car. Arya was crying, confused, scared by all the noise and chaos. Mummy, why are they taking pictures? It's okay, baby. It's going to be okay. But Queenie didn't believe her own words. At home, she locked every door and closed every curtain. Packed 2 bags while Arya watched cartoons, trying to pretend everything was normal. Then she made a phone call she never wanted to make. Peyton? I need to come home. I need to come back to Abidjan. What happened? Everything, Queenie whispered. Everything happened. Her sister was quiet for a moment. I have a friend with a place you can stay. Low profile, no questions asked. When can you leave? Tomorrow. First flight I can get. Queenie looked at Arya, who was humming to herself, oblivious. I need to disappear for a while. And, Taeyong. I can't see him right now. I can't, it hurts too much. Queenie pressed her hand to her mouth to keep from sobbing. Tell him I'm sorry. Tell him it's not his fault. Tell him. I'll tell him, Peyton said gently. Just get here safely, okay? We'll figure out the rest later. That night, Queenie didn't sleep. She sat by the window, watching the street, making sure no one came too close. Her phone buzzed constantly, texts from Taeyong that she couldn't bring herself to read. At 3 a.m., there was a knock at the door. Soft, careful. Queenie looked through the peephole and saw Taeyong standing there, looking devastated. He wasn't demanding to be let in. He was just there. She opened the door a crack. I'm leaving, she said before he could speak. Tomorrow. I'm taking Arya back to Abidjan. For how long? His voice cracked. I don't know. Maybe forever. Queenie, please. I can't do this, Taeyong. Tears streamed down her face. I can't watch my daughter get hurt because of me. Because of us. This is my fault. I should have known better. I should have stayed away from the beginning. This isn't your fault, Taeyong said fiercely. This is Yuna. This is my past. But I can fix this. Give me time, and I can fix everything. Some things can't be fixed, Queenie whispered. Some things are just broken. Don't say that. Don't give up on us. I'm not giving up. I'm being realistic. Queenie started to close the door. Goodbye, Taeyong. I love you, he said desperately. I love you and Arya.
Please don't go.
I love you too, Queenie admitted, and saying it out loud made everything hurt more. But sometimes love isn't enough. She closed the door, pressed her back against it, and slid to the floor, crying silently so she wouldn't wake Arya. On the other side, Taeyong stood there for a long time. Then she heard his footsteps walking away, and it felt like her heart was being ripped from her chest. At dawn, Queenie and Arya were on a plane to Abidjan. Arya asked about Uncle Tae 3 times before they took off. Each time, Queenie said he was busy with work. Will we see him again? Arya asked, her little face worried. I don't know, baby, Queenie said honestly. I really don't know. In Busan, Taeyong stood at his office window, watching the sun rise over the city he'd built his empire in. Suhwan hovered nearby, uncertain. What do we do now, sir?
Now.
Taeyong's voice was hollow. Now I fix this. All of it. I don't care how long it takes. I don't care what I have to do. I'm getting them back. But sir, she's gone. She's in another country. She doesn't want. I don't care what she thinks she wants, Taeyong interrupted. She thinks she's protecting Arya by running. She's wrong. The only way to protect them is to end this. To destroy Yuna's lies. To make sure they can come home safely. That could take months. Then it takes months. Taeyong turned from the window, and Suhwan saw something dangerous in his eyes. But I will get them back. That's not a question. That's a promise. In Abidjan, Queenie unpacked their bags in a small apartment that smelled like unfamiliar spices. Arya was already asleep, exhausted from the journey. Queenie finally opened Taeyong's texts. I'm not giving up on us. I know you're scared, but I promise I'll fix this. Please just don't forget us. Don't forget what we could be. And finally, I'll wait. However long it takes. I'll wait for you. Queenie pressed the phone to her chest and cried herself to sleep, wondering if she'd just made the biggest mistake of her life. Or if running was the only smart thing she'd done in months. Time would tell. But right now, the distance between Busan and Abidjan felt like an ocean too wide to cross. 6 months passed like slow torture. In Abidjan, Queenie rebuilt their life piece by piece. She found work at a small restaurant, enrolled Arya in a local school where nobody knew about Korean business empires or scandal headlines. They lived quietly, carefully, almost invisibly. But Arya asked about Uncle Tae every single day. When is he coming to visit? Does he know where we live? Did he forget about us? Each question was a knife to Queenie's heart. Because the truth was, she didn't know. She'd blocked Taeyong's number the second week, unable to read his messages anymore without breaking down. It was easier to pretend he didn't exist. Easier than admitting she missed him so badly she sometimes couldn't breathe. Peyton watched her sister waste away, with concern. You're not living, Queenie. You're just surviving again. That's all I know how to do, Queenie said tiredly. But Peyton wouldn't let it go. That man loved you. Actually loved you. Don't you think you owe it to yourself to at least check if he kept his promises? To see if he fixed things like he said he would? It doesn't matter if he fixed things, Queenie argued. The problem wasn't just Yuna. The problem is his entire world. I don't fit there. Maybe you don't need to fit. Maybe he needs to fit into your world instead. Queenie hadn't thought of it that way. She'd spent so much time assuming she was the one who needed to change, to adapt, to become someone worthy of Taeyong's attention. She never considered that maybe he should be the one adjusting. That night, she unblocked his number. Her phone immediately flooded with messages, months of them, sent faithfully even when she never responded. Day 47. I took down 3 of Yuna's fake news sources today. Making progress. Day 89. Arya's birthday is coming up. I bought her a present anyway, hoping I can give it to her someday. Day 156. I think about you both every morning. That hasn't changed. Day 180. I'm not giving up. I told you I wouldn't. I meant it. Queenie scrolled through them with tears streaming down her face. Then she saw the most recent one, sent just yesterday. Day 187. I won. The case against Yuna is closed. She admitted to fabricating evidence. All charges dropped. The news has been corrected. You're safe now. You can come home. Please come home. Queenie's hands shook. He'd actually done it. He'd spent 6 months systematically destroying the lies, clearing both their names, making it safe for them to return. But could she? Could she risk her heart again? Before she could decide, Peyton burst into the apartment looking stunned. Queenie, you need to see this. Now. She pulled up a video on her phone. It was Taeyong, standing at a press conference in front of what looked like hundreds of reporters. He wore a simple suit, his face tired but determined. For the past 6 months, Taeyong said into the microphone, there have been rumors and lies spread about my personal life. Today, I'm here to set the record straight. CO Yuna fabricated a pregnancy and betrayal story because I ended our engagement when I discovered she was working with my business rivals. She has admitted to these lies in court, and all legal matters have been resolved. He paused, and the cameras went crazy, flashing nonstop. But I'm not here to talk about Yuna. I'm here to talk about the woman she tried to destroy. Queenie Adebayo is a remarkable person. She's a chef, a mother, a survivor who came to this country with nothing and built a life through sheer determination. She didn't deserve to be dragged into my mess. She didn't deserve to have her daughter threatened or her name slandered. Taeyong looked directly into the camera, and Queenie felt like he was looking straight at her. If you're watching this, Queenie, and I hope you are, I want you to know that everything is handled. You're safe. Arya is safe. You can come home. But more than that. His voice dropped, became impossibly gentle. I want you to know that I haven't stopped thinking about you for one single day. I haven't stopped missing the way you laugh or the way Arya says my name. I haven't stopped wishing I could turn back time and protect you better from the beginning. He pulled out something from his pocket. A small yellow dress, the one Arya had worn the first night at the gala. She left this in my car that first night, Taeyong said, holding it up. I kept it because even then I think I knew. I knew you two were going to change my life. And you did. You made me want to be better. You made me want to deserve the way Arya looked at me like I was some kind of hero. Queenie was sobbing now, unable to look away from the screen. So this is me, asking publicly, in front of everyone. Queenie Adebayo, will you give me another chance? Will you come back? Will you let me prove that I can keep you and Arya safe? That I can be the man you both deserve? The reporters erupted in questions, but Taeyong ignored them. He just stared at the camera, waiting for an answer that wouldn't come. Peyton paused the video. Well, I can't, Queenie whispered. I can't just go back. What if? What if it works? Peyton interrupted. What if you actually get your happy ending? Are you really going to throw that away because you're scared? But Arya asks about him every day. That child loves him, Queenie. And you love him too. I can see it written all over your face. Peyton grabbed her sister's shoulders. You've spent your whole life playing it safe. Being careful. Running from anything that might hurt you. How's that working out? It wasn't. Queenie knew it wasn't. She was miserable. Arya was asking fewer questions lately, not because she'd forgotten Taeyong, but because she could see how much the topic hurt her mother. What do I do? Queenie asked helplessly. You go home, Peyton said simply. You see if what you felt was real.
And if it is?
You fight for it this time instead of running. It took 3 days to arrange everything. Plane tickets, travel documents, telling Arya they were taking a trip. The little girl's face lit up when Queenie mentioned Busan, hope blazing in her eyes. Will Uncle Tae be there? Maybe, Queenie said. Would you like that? Yes. Arya threw herself at her mother. I missed him so much, Mummy. I missed him every day. Me too, baby, Queenie admitted. Me too. They landed in Busan on a gray afternoon. Queenie hadn't told Taeyong they were coming. She didn't know what to say, didn't know if she was ready for whatever would happen next. But when they walked out of the airport, Taeyong was there. He stood by a car, wearing jeans and that same black shirt from their first dinner. His hair was longer, falling into his eyes. He looked thinner, worn down, like the 6 months had aged him years. Their eyes met across the crowded terminal, and the world stopped. Uncle Tae. Arya broke free from Queenie's grip and ran. She crashed into Taeyong with so much force he stumbled back, but he caught her, holding her tight, his eyes squeezed shut. I missed you, Arya said, her little voice muffled against his shoulder. Why did you stop visiting? I'm sorry, Taeyong whispered, his voice breaking. I'm so sorry. I never wanted to. Queenie walked toward them slowly, her heart in her throat. When she reached them, Taeyong looked at her with such raw emotion that she almost broke right there. You came, he said hoarsely. You asked, she replied simply. I asked for 6 months. I know. I'm sorry. Queenie reached out, touching his face gently. I was scared. I'm still scared. Then be scared here, Taeyong said, leaning into her touch. Be scared with me. But don't leave again. Please, Queenie. Don't leave again. I don't know if I can do this, Queenie admitted. Your world, your life, it's too big, too complicated. Then we'll make a new world, Taeyong said firmly. One that fits all 3 of us. Whatever it takes, whatever you need. I need to know this is real, Queenie whispered. I need to know you're not going to wake up one day and realize we're too much trouble. You're not trouble. You're everything. Taeyong set Arya down gently, but kept one hand in hers. With his other hand, he took Queenie's. I spent 6 months fixing my mistakes. 6 months making sure you'd be safe. 6 months planning how to build a life that protects what matters most. And what matters most is standing right here. Queenie looked at their joined hands, her daughter holding this powerful man like he was her anchor, and this man looking at both of them like they were his salvation. Okay, she breathed. Okay, let's try. But slow, Taeyong. We need to go slow. As slow as you want, he promised. I've got all the time in the world. Arya bounced between them excitedly. Does this mean Uncle Tae can come to dinner again? Yes, baby, Queenie said, smiling through her tears. Uncle Tae can come to dinner. Every night? Arya asked hopefully. Taeyong and Queenie looked at each other, something warm and healing passing between them. Every night, Taeyong confirmed. If your mummy says it's okay. It's okay, Queenie said softly. It's definitely okay. And for the first time in 6 months, she let herself believe that maybe, just maybe, this could actually work. Rebuilding took time. Not the dramatic, gesture-filled kind, but the quiet, steady kind. The kind measured in shared meals and bedtime stories, in Taeyong showing up even when Queenie was having a bad day, in Arya's laughter filling spaces that had been silent too long. Queenie got a job at a better restaurant, one where the owner treated her with respect and her skills were valued. Taeyong never offered to fix things with money or connections. He learned that wasn't what she wanted. She needed to stand on her own feet, to prove to herself she could build something without anyone's help. But he was there, always there. 3 months after they returned, Queenie invited him inside for the first time in what felt like forever. Not just for dinner, but after, when Arya was asleep, and it was just the two of them. "I'm selling the company," Taeyong said suddenly, sitting on her small couch. Queenie froze in the middle of pouring tea. "What?" "Not all of it. But the parts that my father built, the ones with questionable histories, I'm liquidating everything and starting fresh. Clean slate." He looked at her seriously. "I can't promise there won't be challenges. But I can promise I'm done with that world. I'm done putting profit over people." "Taeyong, that's your entire empire." "It's not worth it," he interrupted. "Not if it means losing you. Not if it means Arya growing up afraid. I'd rather start over with nothing than keep something that threatens what matters." Queenie sat down beside him, overwhelmed. "You're really willing to give it all up?" "I already did," Taeyong said quietly. "6 months ago, when you left, I realized none of it mattered without you." She kissed him then, for the first time since that night in her kitchen when everything fell apart. It was gentle, careful, healing. When they pulled back, both had tears in their eyes. "I'm still scared," Queenie admitted. "Me too," Taeyong said. "But I'm more scared of not trying." They sat there for hours, talking about everything, futures they wanted to build, mistakes they'd made, dreams they'd forgotten. By the time Taeyong left, something had fundamentally shifted between them. They weren't perfect, but they were committed to figuring it out together. For months later, Taeyong proposed. Not with a ring that cost a fortune, or in some grand public gesture. He did it in Queenie's kitchen on a random Tuesday, with Arya drawing at the table and dinner burning slightly on the stove. "Marry me," he said while helping her chop vegetables. Queenie almost cut her finger. "What?" "Marry me," Taeyong repeated, putting down his knife and turning to face her fully. "I know it's fast. I know we're still rebuilding. But I also know I want to spend the rest of my life doing this. Cooking dinner with you, helping Arya with homework, building something real. So marry me, Queenie. Please." "You don't have a ring," she said, her voice shaking. "I wanted to ask first. Make sure you'd say yes before I bought something you might hate." He smiled that rare smile. "Was I wrong to wait?" Queenie looked at Arya, who'd stopped drawing and was watching with wide, hopeful eyes. Then she looked at Taeyong, this man who'd turned his entire world upside down for them. "No," she whispered. "You weren't wrong." "Is that a yes?" "Yes." Queenie laughed through tears. "Yes, it's a yes." Arya screamed with joy and launched herself at both of them, creating a tangle of limbs and laughter right there in the tiny kitchen. The wedding happened 6 months later. Small, intimate, exactly what they both wanted. Queenie wore a dress that blended Korean and Ivorian styles, something that represented both worlds coming together. Arya was the flower girl, taking her job very seriously. When Taeyong said his vows, his voice broke halfway through. "I was lost before I met you. I thought I knew what strength looked like, what power meant. Then a little girl called me Daddy, and her mother showed me what real courage is, building a life from nothing, protecting your child no matter the cost, choosing love even when it's terrifying. You saved me, Queenie, both of you, and I promise I'll spend every day trying to deserve that gift." Queenie was crying too hard to get through her vows without stopping 3 times. But she managed. "You saw me when I was invisible. You made me believe I could be more than just surviving. You loved my daughter, like she was your own from the very first day. That's the man I'm choosing, not the powerful businessman, not the empire builder, but the man who shows up, the man who stays." When they left the small ceremony venue, hand in hand with Arya between them, photographers were waiting. But this time, Queenie didn't run. This time, she held her head high, protected by a man who'd proven he meant every promise. The headlines the next day were different too. From scandal to fairy tale, Choi Tae-yong marries the woman who changed everything. Breaking, former business mogul starts charity foundation named after stepdaughter. Because that's what Tae-yong had done with the money from selling his father's companies. He'd started a foundation to help single mothers and immigrant families, naming it the Arya Foundation. When reporters asked why, he said simply, "Because a 5-year-old girl taught me that family isn't about blood. It's about showing up. And these families deserve someone to show up for them." 2 years passed. Then 5. Then 10. Arya grew up strong and confident, splitting her time between Korean and Ivorian cultures, fluent in 3 languages, passionate about helping others. She never called Tae-yong anything but dad, and he never called her anything but his daughter. Queenie opened her own restaurant, serving fusion cuisine that brought her 2 worlds together. It became the most popular place in Busan, not because of Taeyong's connections, but because her food was that good. She won awards. She was featured in magazines. She became known not as Choi Taeyong's wife, but as Chef Queenie, the culinary genius. And Taeyong? He rebuilt his empire from scratch, but differently, ethically, slowly. He proved you could be successful without being ruthless, powerful without being cruel. Young entrepreneurs looked up to him not for his wealth, but for his integrity. On their 10th anniversary, they went back to that beach where Arya had chased seagulls. Their daughter, now 15, had stayed home, claiming she was too cool for family outings but texting them pictures of the dinner she'd attempted to make. "She tried to cook your jollof rice," Taeyong said, showing Queenie the photo of a slightly burned disaster. Queenie laughed. "She's definitely your daughter. You can't cook either." "Hey, I've gotten better," Taeyong protested, pulling her close as they walked along the water. "I can make exactly 1 dish now. Instant ramen doesn't count. It counts if I don't burn it." They stood there as the sun set, painting the sky in oranges and purples. Queenie leaned into Taeyong's warmth, thinking about the scared woman she'd been 10 years ago. The one who'd almost let fear win. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked quietly. "Giving up everything for us?" "Never," Taeyong answered immediately. "Not once." "Do you regret taking the risk?" "Never," Queenie echoed. "Not once." Behind them, someone cleared their throat. They turned to find Soo-hwan standing there awkwardly, holding a bouquet of flowers. "Sorry to interrupt, sir, madam, but I wanted to give you these for your anniversary. And to say thank you." "Thank you?" Queenie asked, confused. "For showing me that maybe there's hope for people like us," Soo-hwan said, his usual formal demeanor cracking. "I just got engaged. To someone completely wrong on paper. But I remembered how you two made it work, and I thought, maybe we could too." Taeyong clasped his assistant's shoulder. "You're going to be fine, Soo-hwan. Just remember, show up. Keep showing up. That's the secret." After Soo-hwan left, Queenie looked at her husband with love shining in her eyes. "Still giving advice, huh? Someone has to pass on our wisdom," Taeyong joked. Then he became serious. "You know what I realized? That night at the gala, when Arya called me daddy, I thought my life was ending. Turned out it was just beginning. She saved us both," Queenie said softly. "She did. But you healed us. You taught me that strength isn't about never breaking, it's about choosing to rebuild after you do." They kissed as the sun finished setting, and somewhere in the city, their daughter texted, "Stop being gross on the beach and come home. I need help fixing dinner before I burn down the kitchen." Queenie laughed against Taeyong's lips. "Our daughter is a disaster." "Our daughter is perfect," Taeyong corrected. "Just like her mother." They went home to their family, to their life, to the beautiful mess they'd built from broken pieces and second chances. And every night, before sleeping, Taeyong still remembered that moment, walking past 100 perfect women, then freezing when a little girl with wild curls called him daddy. Best decision of his life. Underscore 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 underscore. So, yeah. This was the story of how the most feared man in Busan became someone's dad, someone's husband, someone's hero. All because a 5-year-old decided he looked like a prince, and her mother was brave enough to believe in second chances. Love really does show up in the most unexpected ways, doesn't it? Makes you wonder what could happen if we all just chose to stay instead of run when things got scary. Drop a comment telling me what part hit you hardest. I'd love to know.